All right, team. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. So in today's basically section, we'll try to learn about how we can set up and grant access in Azure Portal as well as Azure DevOps. Okay, this is the basically the first one we'll be covering. Portal also we will do same. We will be doing in the what is it, DevOps. The reason why we require is that if you remember, I have granted access to you all, right? So we need to know how we can do that actually using the Azure portal as well as the Azure DevOps site. So let us go with the first one. So if you remember, we have given so many users. So I will just show you first so that you get some idea. So as you can see here, we have multiple organizations where I have defined multiple, under each organizations, I would have different projects. Say for example, just to keep the, things simple. So for the organization one, I given name as the project, sorry, Azure DevOps project 01, just to keep as a short name. Similar way, I have done for all other three organizations as well. So if you see here, two project under same organizations, I have a two. So similar way, I have given three also. So now let me go one of them. I'll go with the first one because all three remain same, the same concept. So within these organizations, if you go, there is the settings. I just click in the first organization settings there. I mean, just click over there. Then it will, you can see below, right, on your left side, organization settings, click over there. Then as you click there, something like this will be open up for you. The first thing is I need to give access to you, right? So if you see users, right now under these users, I have so many users. How many users? There are 5 users: Bhagwan, Hriyen, Mani, Naresh, and Sarat. So we can see. And second thing we need to notice here is access level is basic. The question is, how can I get this username now? Because this username need to be, I have to create, right? So where can I create this username? So let us see this one. Now there are many ways of giving the access, but one of the way we can use using something called as if you see here, Microsoft Entra. Now, question is, what is Microsoft Intra? Microsoft Intra is nothing but basically it is a access and identity management. That means if any person joins in your organizations, you need to create for them as a login credential, right? Say for example, username and password. Same way, basically, we need to do it for you all, every one of you, those who are learning here, right? So because you need to log into this portal. So there are two ways of giving the access. One is the using the Microsoft Intra. Second is using the individually, in the sense, let's say example, you have a gmail.com. Instead of managing in one place, you can individually give as a permission, like a rule access to them. Let's say example, Hriyen.com, gmail.com. So I can simply give individually, but that is quite difficult to manage it. This is why I give access through my Microsoft Intra. So let us see how I can create the ID and then show here everything. So in order to basically start with the first concept, that is basically setting up the, sorry, not this one, um, this thing, right? First one, setting up the user and the grant permissions, right? So let me go first one. So I will take you to the here first. This is the portal, right? You can log in with your email ID. I mean, not email, the ID which I have shared. So simply you type here Microsoft Intra. If you don't see, because now you can see because it was I was working on that. So this is why you can see as a recent services. So in your case, you can simply type Intra. If you type just Intra ID or maybe Microsoft Intra ID, whatever way, you can see the first one under services. You can see a Microsoft Intra ID. Let me click over here. Now, as I told you, to work with any services, you need to have your username and password in place. The first one, what I do is that there is a user under going to the directory under intra ID, I mean to say, go to the users. If you see here, I have so many users defined here, right? These are the students who have for this different this thing, best and everything they have learned now. Now, question is, why do we record this one? Because as I told you, if you create the ID, The same ID can be used in your Azure Portal as well as Azure DevOps. How to give the access, that I will discuss in some time. Okay, so first let me create the user. As I mentioned, it is already created, but just to show you as simple as searching, there are two way of creating the user. This is part of security actually, an admin role, but still it is good to understand, right? So there are two way of creating user. One is if you see here, you create a new user. Another is a invite external user. That means, as I told you, if you want, let's say example, if you could just notice this user domain name, right? Let me just expand this one. For example, my name Hriyen dot t, then at the rate azureking.co.in. So basically this is your domain name, right? This is domain name, this is the altogether, this is username here. So this is basically within your directory, in the sense your active directory. So as I told you, Azure Active Directory, before it was known as the Azure Active Directory, now it is known as Microsoft Entra ID. So name is changed now. So now let me click here to create new ID. So as I told you, there are two ways. This is basically if you want to create any user as part of your Microsoft Entra ID, in the sense within your this thing Azure portal. That means within your, you will manage as a service. I mean as a user, this one. Second is let's say you have the some organizations, sorry, let's say third party, somebody is working for your project or company. You don't want them to create separate domain with this kind of at the rate this domain. That means they may have their own company's domain ID, let's say something.com, right? Or maybe they have the your gmail.com, whatever is there. That means you don't want to create or manage the user, you simply want to give the permissions because they are outside of your organizations. There could be many reasons. So this in that case we can select this one. Or is think for example, there is another business, another company from different team, not in the same company but with different company. In this case, definitely the domain name also would be changed, right? Because this is depends on the company, the domain name would be showing here. So in this case, if it is different company, you can simply select with here, and they can give their email ID, whatever is the same thing, you can update it and invite link everything. Then you can send them the email. Okay, say example something whatever.com, you can type here here at the something gmail.com example. Like this, you can give any display name, a message you can type here. Then you can see the invite redirect link, so it will be sent to them. Now if you go to properties, it will be something same like as before only. You can see here only things, if you notice here, there is a two types, member and the guest. This is very important. The user type guest is something that means they may not have the control or they may not do anything within your, or what you call active directory or the intra id, right? So members mean within the members mean that means you are managing the particular user also as part of your intra id. So in my case, I will select as a guest because guest as name suggests, right? Anything that is outside of your organizations. Now you can same define as other thing. You can fill details, but it is not mandatorily you have to fill everything. You can fill the job title, company name, department, whatever required according to your this thing. You can fill them up like city and everything, right? So location and all. This is the thing. Then you can create it. So another way of creating is as I told you, using the username means this one. If you see notice here, while selecting new user, right, you can see your user principal. It's nothing but what exactly the u1 name is and with the domain name. This is your domain name basically. Right? So I have multiple domains. So if you have multiple domain, you can select. But this is the latest one, register one. So this domain actually you need to buy. You cannot get this like this. This domain need to purchase from the domain provider. Domain provider, if you might have been knowing like a GoDaddy we have, right? So this particular domain was purchased from the GoDaddy. So if you want to try it out, you can do that. But for now, not required. Okay, you have to pay for this also, this domain name. Now you can give a name, anything that you wish to give, and the nickname and everything according to that you can give. And password later, you can set. There is an option, right? Auto generate password. You can untick this one, and you can save it. If you want to do automatic way using auto generate password, you can stick this one and you can enable account. So once you give these things, say for Hriyen, whatever name you want, then you can go next, same as it is. You can give first name, last name, type. Again, by default, this will be member. Member means, as I told you, this is part of your domain, part of your AD, right? Active Directory or the Entra ID. So you can manage it here. So I can select this one, and same as the first one, you can also fill here also details that you wish to give. So I have already done this thing. I can just simply create it. So that is why once you create it successfully, what we can do is that I will not save anyway. As I told you, I'll go here. I have so many username. Now, if you think here, I could see more than I think 15 plus 15 to 20 user ID, right? Username. Now, it is for me quite difficult to give a permission for individually because right now I just created the username and password. But question is, how can I manage all these user in one go, right? Because managing also is a big task for you. Because you will not just create one username and then give some permissions, read, write, or any access, right? So you need to grant the permissions. So how can we do that, right? So in order to make that simple, what we can do, there is something called as a go in the same this thing. You can see the groups, right? So instead of managing individual username, you can have something called as a groups, and you can define a group name, and there is also different type of group also. So why group require name suggests, let's example, if you have multiple, if you have a multiple username, right, or user, you cannot manage individually. So I will have multiple user into one particular group, so that whatever permission I want to give based on the group or maybe users, I will define on the group level instead of the user level, right? So let me click here. If I click, there are two types actually. Let me show you. If you see a group types, there are two types you will see mostly. One is the security, second one is a Microsoft 365, right? So question is, what is the difference between Microsoft 365 and the shared security? Anything that you want to give permissions or maybe you want to manage in your Microsoft Entra, so you would be choosing as security one. And second is Microsoft Entra means apart from this Microsoft Entra, you have some other Microsoft official Microsoft 365 like what you say that portal access, where you want to give permissions to there also. In this case, you can select this actually. Okay, but in my case, as I told you, I do not have anything purchase this one. I am using a Azure Active Directory only, or Azure Microsoft Intra. So this is what I'm going to select first one, and I can give any group name. Say example something DevOps group, something like that. I can give anything. This can be small or capitals, so it doesn't matter for that. I can just mention according to your listing DEB, like that, something DevOps group, something like that. Any name you can give. Then group description, that you whatever name you can give.
Hriyen, sorry to interrupt. I have one query.
Yeah.
Suppose
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I have an Office 365 user ID as a login ID,
Okay.
should I choose group type as Microsoft 365 instead of security, or I can use security and add my user ID as well?
Yeah, actually, see how it works. Let me go you. If I click here, what happens, right? If you just notice, I click the group type as Microsoft 365, and under this, whatever group same as it is, I given. If you see here, email ID, this is got changed now. Basically, you need to have the subscriptions for the Office 365 also. You need to buy that one. Let's example, there is a, if you go here, Office the 365 365 admin portal, if you have, or admin center or portal, if you go here, I'll just go something like this, something like this you will be having basically portal. So see like this, you will have the, this is another basically your identity managements. in the sense like instead of managing in your Azure Active Directory as an individual user or group of user, you can also have a separate portal that you need to buy a subscription for that, called as a Microsoft Office admin. You have to buy this portal. Basically, when you buy a license, you get this portal access, actually just like Azure DevOps access or maybe portal access. This is another completely another what is it called it, portal for you, which will be granted for you. If you just notice here, same thing, there is a user and group. Now say for example, the same group, if you want to create an Azure AD, and you can showcase your a group here. That means if you create as a group name as here something as this one, this will be, because this is all integrated. This Azure Active Directory with your Office 365, they are in the same tenant, right? We use same tenant, so it will be integrated because this is all same service. Just that the service in the sense only the we are using additional features that is for the Office 365. Now, if you go, as I told you, if you go under group, same group, whatever you create here, when you create in Azure AD, if you select as Office 365, it will be shown here. That means you can manage it from here and give a permission based on the what license you want for certain user, a group. If you can see your billings and supports everything. Is it clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, let's go here now. So in my cell, as I told you, we don't have Office 365 now. um, I mean, I have to select the security one. Then I can select the whatever description name depends on that you can select, and you can member type, membership type is assigned. Now, again, another thing we need to understand is the owners, meaning this particular group again, there should be somebody who can manage this group, right? Because within this group, we need to add some users so that we can manage all the user in one go. So somebody need to manage this group as well. That is whatever name as your DevOps group, right? I mean DevOps group. Somebody need to manage this one. So this is why I can give group for this particular group as admin. I can give anybody. Let's say I'll give to Mani. So I can simply select his name. As you can see, this is part of the same this thing, right? I can see his name. I can give, that means now members also depends on you. At the time of creation of your group itself, you can define the members mean who are, mean which all user will be part of this group, so that this group can manage it in one go, right? So I can select it here or I can do it later. Even this owner also we can assign it later, even after creation of your group itself. But I saw simplicity purpose, I selected now. And group also same way, if you want to give during your creation also, you can see any group that you want to, I mean you can select this member. Let's say I'll just type example hamara this thing. I can see Rag Bhagwan or any other name I can give, so it will come here. But I have already given this thing. Let's example this is created now. Just need to create, that's it. Once it is created, as I told you, this is how it is going to be look. So for example, let me select that R group which we created already. This is the group created. I created group name as Azure DevOps Engineer. This is the group name. So under here, as I told you, there is something called as I told you, these are type as a security because we need to select the security group. And under here, there is something called as a manage. Come down under manage, you can see the properties of the group as well if you want to see that. And as I told you, this already we have done it. We don't need anything. Members, under members, I can now see which all members are available as part of this group. That means this many members are available as of now. That means around 10 members we have right now, right? And another thing is that this is all members. This is also same way as usual. Now there are two things if you notice. One is the direct members. Second is all members. Now direct member is something that directly within the same organization, I mean same what they call group level that you're given a granted permission. That is a direct level. Okay, so that is why I'm showing as a direct level here. Say for example, same user, if you have another group or anything you have, then it will be another way it will come. So that is why mostly for any user, whatever group name you created, within that you can go members and you simply go here, I mean add members. you can select that. If you see here, there is another call as well. Let me select this thing also. If you say here, I have a something called as DevOps team. This is a group. This is not a user. If I add like this also possibly I can do it. That means group inside group I can do it. Okay. So example, I'll just show you. If you do like this is not the user. If you just notice, as I told you, let me just take a refresh. As a refresh there, you can see here, right, DevOps team, but this is not a user as name type as a group. So this way also I can manage it. So if you go here, this is another group basically. Just like that, it will take you back again. Okay. So basically, if you have one group, inside one group, you can have multiple group as well. That means this is depends on the situations you may use it. So let me come here. Owner mean, as I told you, I have given owner name as in my case I given as my name. So if it is another person, that also will show here. Then second thing is the rule and administrator. Normally rule and administrator, we will not be doing much here because this is part of your AD. So this also will not do. Membership also, if you just click here, I do not have any membership right now. Now if you see this also, because this is and all we don't want as part of your DevOps. So what we require now is a username. As I told you, username is created, and also all the user be moved to particular group, right? So that is why we are able to see the group. Now till here is good. First, then now how can we give? Now we have grouped the user. Now we need to give a permissions to the group level. So how can we do that? So can somebody tell me where I need to give a permission now in Azure site? Because I created a username. All the username I group into particular, move to particular user, that is Azure DevOps group. Now how can I give a permission to all to particular group, right? How can I give a permission? This group I created, right? How can I give a permission now? Which level, where I need to give a permission? Anybody have an idea? No?
Subscription level, like based
Which
on the
one?
resource. Resource level or subscription level based on the usage.
Okay. Okay. There, let us understand. There are two things we need to understand. Let me show you. Permission can be given two ways, but it's all depends on the situations. We sometimes we get a permission in the like intra Microsoft Intra, right? Or you can call as a MS mean Microsoft Intra, right? Microsoft Intra ID we can give. Second is we can give as a subscription level. In subscription level, that is something called as the RBAC rule, right? RBAC, BACK, RBAC rule. Now, in our situations, where do we need to give? Whether we need to give in the Microsoft Intra level or maybe subscription RBAC rule level. Which level can somebody confirm? Okay, no problem. If you're not sure, no problem.
Entra, MS Entra.
In okay, who's that? Is this Harat?
Yes, sir.
This is actually wrong. You will not be doing the intra level. It is not in the intra level. Okay. Why not intra level? Let us see that. Intra level, why we want first thing? Intra level, first why we need is, as I told you, in intra mean what is basically intra first thing? Intra is nothing, it is a identity and access management, right? Access management. That means here basically what we did, we create, because in intra level we have created something called as a user, right? Users we have created. Then we also created a group, right? We create user and group. Now why we create a group? Because to manage multiple users, right? To manage multiple users, we created as a group name as a Azure DevOps, something like that, Azure DevOps uh, group, something we created, right? So that all the group username we can put it here. Now we need to give permission. Now question is, you need to understand this particular user, what kind of activity they are going to do. This nothing of giving permission in the intra level also. I can give this user or group, whatever is there. I can give permission on this in this level also, intra level also. The question is, what is the primary work for all these users? In the sense, what primary task or maybe work they are going to do, what is their role? That you need to understand it first. Then only we can decide whether to give access on the intra level or the RBAC role level. Now question is, how do I know like which one to give? How can I decide that, right? Or how can I get to know these informations? So they're very simple. So let us understand. Being as a Azure DevOps, what is your primary role? Basically, you'll be working with the Azure resources, right? Azure resources you'll be working. That means you'll be working in the Azure basically resource level. Now, Azure resource means now that means now you can imagine in where exactly we need to give a permission now, right? Permission we need to give in the resource level, right? Azure resource level. Okay, Azure resource level that means this is why we have to give permission in the RBAC role, because let me show you here. I think it is yeah. We have a subscriptions, right? This is subscription now. Here this level, this is here if you can see here, I am role or this is called as a RBAC role basically. So you can have to give from here. Now because as I told you, we will be dealing with Azure services, nor with the access related, right? So let's come to the second point. Then when can I use this one? That is your intra then, because as I told you, right now we'll be using or giving access to which level on your subscription, that is the RBAC rule level, right? Now then next what we have to do, as I told you, we have to give in this level, that is your intra level. So intra level, how can I give, or when to give, right? So the reason why I need to give is that first thing, say for example, as a admin means you are working as a admin. What is the admin task? Admin task is to basically manage the users or groups or the applications. User what? User, they can manage the users and they can manage the group. What else? Then applications access or anything like that, something like applications, right? Application level. Now, why do we need this? As I told you, I'm not an admin. Basically, that means I'm a DevOps engineer. I do not need this user. I don't have to create user for others, right? So definitely I don't need that one. Even I don't have to think about the user group, how I can give permission also, because this is not part of my role. This is part of who admin role. This also I don't need. Application registered, because only if you want to basically register some applications to authenticate, even this also I don't need for now. Then who can do all these tasks? Only this person, that is a admin. This is done managed by admin. Okay, so this is when we have to give permission. Now if you want to give access to others also, there is a license basically, but this is not, there are two types of license here. If you want to give some of the like active directory features, there are two types. There are two types. One is a free trial. Second is a paid one, paid subscription basically. Not subscription. It's like a, you have to buy a license for the paid license. Okay. So in this case, question is, why do we need, if do we need really? Yes. In your organization, normally this license need to be assigned only those whoever wants to work with this particular Active Directory related features. Example, as I told you, if I admin, that means I need full control to manage all the users and different features and everything, right? In this case, definitely as a admin user itself, he need a special permissions, not permission, kind of the access that he has to, not a free one. Free will not help. He have to go with the paid subscription subscription. In the in license one, paid license. In the paid license, what all access he can get? Something he can get a SSO also. What is SSO? This is basically a single sign-on this thing, right? Now second, also MFA. MFA. And also there is other kind of other thing. We can have a multiple logs. We can track audit, basically audit kind of things. We can audit, and there is so many other features are there. Okay, if you want this all to be managed by certain person, in this case, then you have to give this permission, intra access, not the RBAC. Now, if you want to manage this access as well as the resource, Azure resource, that means if you give this access as an intra level, that means still this person would not have access to the resource level. That means if you have access everything on your intra level, you still don't have access to the Microsoft resource level. This resource, Azure resource will not have access. That means if you want to give access to the Azure resource level also, in that case, then you also need to give permissions that is on your, as I told you, under subscription, you have to give RBAC role to certain person or group of user or particular group. That way we have to do it. So let me show you that. Now, so as I told you, let me go to my here. Let me go with the one by one. Let me go to the first subscription. As I told you, if you want to work with any Azure resources, right? The Azure resources, so I need to give in the RBAC access under subscription. But this is not mandatorily that you have to give access on the subscription. It is again depends on the company or the complexity of the project. Normally, they don't give access on the subscription level. So what you can do, you can have a separate resource group. That means you can divide the access also in certain way that to reduce basically the risks of the project or company. So I can give access in 3 level. RBAC level where I can give in the 3 level. 3 level. First, if you see here, 3 level I can in RBAC role. There are 3 level. And the, if RBAC, as I told you, I can give a 3 level access. I can have a 3 level of access in RBAC role. One is a management. Actually, there are many we can do. This is a high level, I'm saying it. Management, okay, management group. GRUP group. Then we have a subscription level. Then third is a resource group. Sorry, not group, it is a resource group, my bad. Okay, this is a RG level or resource group level. The question is it actually we are this thing? I mean, is there any other way? Yes, you can also define another. If you at all need very much in the low level, you can also do a resource level. But mostly they will go with these 3. The reason being why? What is management group first in place, right? Management group, say for example, you to manage if you have a multiple subscription, that means you have a subscription 1, you have another subscription 2, subscription 3. That means you have a multiple subscription. In my case, I only have one subscription. So I can use management group or I can use subscription level or resource group, depends on that. That means managing all 3 subscriptions, or maybe let's say 100 subscriptions they have. If you had to manage individually this subscription, it is not at all highly possible, right? Because it is difficult for me to assign the role for each and every subscription. Let's say I want to give access to every user for all subscription mean it is not it is difficult for me to give for every individual access, right? It is difficult. So what instead of this one I can do is, instead of basically giving access to individual subscription, I can simply move all the subscription. I can create something called as a management group. Under management group, I can move all the subscription here. I can move all subscription to this particular management group. That means now whenever you want to assign the permission, that is a RBAC access, you don't give permission in the subscription level. Rather, you will create one management group, call as whatever name you want. Let's say in my case MG management, let's say MG something 01. This is a management group ID, let's say name. Let's say I can simply give access here RBAC rule. Okay, I will give here only, not on this subscription, because I have multiple. I don't want to manage it individually. So this is one of the way I can use it using management group. Second is a subscription within the management also. Because in management, as I told you, this is having a multiple subscription. That means if I give permissions, whatever permission I give, if I give on the management group level, that means all the other subscription within the management group would have a same access, right? If it, let's say example for particular subscription, let's say subscription 3, I don't want to give permissions as other subscriptions. I want to give explicit permission here for my particular subscription. In this case, instead of defining the policy or maybe giving RBAC role on the management group, you can simply give subscription level. That means individual subscription if you want to manage or give certain permissions, then you can select this one. This is a way of doing it, subscription level. Another one is a resource level. Let's say example, this level I have given. Now, for example, there are another person, they may not have complete control on the subscription level, because if you give permission in the subscription level also, whatever resources are available, all resources will be accessed, or it can be seen by whoever having access to the subscription, right? Say for example, there is another person where I don't want to give permissions, or maybe I don't want to I don't want him to see the resources, or maybe for any reason or security reason, I can simply create one separate resource group based on the user's permissions and assign the permission, RBAC permission under subscription. I can give RBAC permissions in the where resource group level. This is also possible. Okay. So yeah. So if I go back, let me show you. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so let me go something. You can simply type management group. If you see here management group, you can select management group. If you see here, use management group to group subscriptions. As I told you, if you have multiple groups of subscriptions, then you can select this one. Before that is something called as a tenant root group. This is the high level where it is the default one. You don't manage, that is high level. So you will manage from here only. Okay, you can manage from here. You can create whatever group name you want. Then under this, you can, let's say this is my group name I created, or I can create new one. There is an option right to create. You can create and give permission here. This is one way. So in my case, I don't want to do that. Second way is a subscription level. As I told you, this is an individual subscription. I can simply go, I can give here also permissions. Another one is a resource group, as I told you, but let me go with the subscription level for now. So as I told you, I have created my username. I will click here. There is some slowness maybe in my network. Let's wait. Yeah, now before that, if you want to see, you can check here, view my access. This will help me to understand what level of access I have right now. You can also share, right? That means I have owner and I have a contributor access. Basically, this is RBAC rule related. Question is, there are many access we have in RBAC rule also. Let me show you some of them. The high level I'm showing you. You can simply click here if you want to give access on your subscription level. That is a subscription, right? This level if you want to give, click here, role assign. Now I need to understand what kind of permission I need to give. There are so many access I have it. Normally in the company, depends on your role and responsibility, you will be assigned a role, certain role. But in my case, in the high level, we'll try to understand. There is something called as owner, contributor, and reader, and all. There are so many other as well. So when I say owner, basically grants full access to manage all resources, including the ability to assign roles in Azure RBAC. And second is grant full access to manage all resources, but does not allow you to assign RBAC roles. Sorry, assign roles in the RBAC manage assignment, something like that. That means what it means. This there are others, and read also there are other as well. But these two is very important because it's high level. Honor is something that means you can create user. That means you don't have to. You can give anything. You can give permission to anybody. Say for example, you have created username, password, you have created share to somebody, but if you want to give access to certain person, you cannot you cannot give if you have access of contributor. Contributor can create any resource. They can manage everything, all entire Azure resources. They can manage it. Again, remember, not the Entra ID. Careful. I'm saying Azure resource mean in Azure side, not in the basically Entra ID side. Okay, management side. I'm saying the not admin side, but the Azure resource side, they can manage any resources. They have full control, except they cannot grant access to anybody else. That means if somebody they want to give a RBAC role, you cannot give them. I mean, you cannot assign a role to them. Owner is somebody who would have access entirely. That means they can create, they can basically assign, they can manage entire resources in Azure services, as well as they can grant access to anybody because they have owner access. In my case, I have already selected as a contributor. Let me select this one because I don't want people to give access to anybody. So this is a thing. I can select right now. As I told you, I have created my what is a user where it is a what do you call that is in Microsoft Entra, right? So I can select here. Once I select, I can select members. Select this one. I can go with the manage entity also, but in my case, I will go with this one because we have a group, right? So I can select one of them. Then I can select the members. In members, now I have to know what is my username. I mean, not username, group name. So group name is Azure DevOps is my group name, right? This is the Azure DevOps Engineer. If you see only for the selected group, this is the group name that we have created in our Entra ID, right? So I will select this one. Once I select, it will come your object ID as well as the group name. Now you simply go next. Now you can see what rule I have assigned. I have assigned contributor. What is your scope also? I can see it is a subscription level. And what is the group name? I have with the object ID, everything I can see. If you want to give a description, that depends on you. You can give it and simply assign it. In my case, it is already assigned. So yeah, I can still assign, not an issue. Once I assign this, now as I told you, it is already assigned. If you see already exists, that means I have already assigned. It will not happen. So this is how we need to give it so that they can access entire the Azure level. Now question is then why did we the why I want to create the in inter level, because I need to give permissions to user, right? So I can other, there is no any way to basically create the username and password apart from the Active Directory or Intra ID. This is why I created username and password in Intra. Now this is the in the Azure tab. So in Azure portal side you are good. Now let's go to the Azure DevOps side. In as I told you, Azure DevOps side, what we have is, let me show you. This is the Azure DevOps, right? Azure DevOps, I have already given the username password. You have to come to the, let me go to one of the organizations. If I go to one of the organizations, let's say I'm going to organization one, there is a two-way of accessing the Azure DevOps portal. As I told you, one is let me go directly here. Yeah, here. Okay, under organizations settings, then you come to the users, under user go to add users. If you see here, you can see, right, there is a different option, basically use users or service principal. I can select here. Our question is, normally what we have to know is that if you have a new user, let's say you have something called as something, okay, let's say I just simply type as something which is not there, something I don't have this one, like this also. This particular also I can send them, I can give a permissions. What that means project permission, that means. Now if you notice here, what it says, send email invites to user only. you are inviting users from outside your directory. The users, this is my username, will need to click the link in their invitation email to be able to access the organizations and the its resources. That means there are, as I told you, two way of giving access in the Azure DevOps level. One is using the external. Say for example, this is my gmail.com or some company, different companies.com, whatever we have, right? So you can just give username and you can select the what kind of permission you want to give, and you can select this one tick mark and give. That means now if I send now email, automatically this particular email ID, whatever the person would get an email in their Gmail basically to click the link with basically invitation email. They'll get it. Once they click in the link, then they have to accept it. Once they accept the organization's everything policy, then they can see the portal. This is one of the things we can do it. But the question is now, it is difficult for me to manage. Let's say if I have hundreds of users, I cannot do individually like that. This look hectic, right? To manage individual ID. So this is why what I did was, instead of using individual gmail.com or whatever is there, what I did was I ignored that one. Let's come to the here Microsoft Entra. So what I did was, if you just notice, under Microsoft there is another way. One is, as I told you, using the external. Second is using the Microsoft Entra. Basically, this is how I can get access. Now, if you see here, your organization is connected to default directory, and this is the directory name. And here we can say azure.co.in. This is my directory. All my tenant ID, everything is visible. If I disconnect this one, then I will not be able to basically see the user, whatever I'm trying to add. Let's say you guys all, right? I cannot see that also. So this is what the reason why I have to connect it. This one. I have to connect this one. Once I connect, as I told you, this is the ID that you can also see in your portal if you go. Now, so let me go here, overview. If you see a tenant ID, this is my primary domain ID. This is everything. We can see default name. What is the default name? This is the default directory. Same thing, as I told you, here we could see, right? Here. So this is how is that means now you can imagine whoever having access, in particular intra ID, right? Let's say we have multiple users, and the same thing, we have so many users, right? So now whoever you want to give permissions, instead of just sending the invites or controlling, now you can simply search with the name. Let's say in my case, anything that you want to call with. So let's say example, we can call with this guy Naresh. Already I have given him, but I'll just show you. If I come here, because first thing, we need to connect the Intra ID with your existing this thing, so that whatever user is available within the Intra ID, those I can automatically fetch it. So example, here we have so many people. I cannot add here because already 5 people. I mean, I can add it. I can give it different permission. I can type any name. Let's say I'll try different name which is not there. Pretty, let's say. I can see automatically. If pretty, why? Because if, as I told you, this pretty is here. Now, if I type something which is not there, let's say random name, I'm typing, it will not come, because it has to be there in identity and access management. If I type something, let's say wrong spelling, something like this, see, it will not come, because this particular identity is not created in your Active Directory. Now, if I type the proper name only, it will come like this here. This is the reason why we are creating, so that now we don't have to manage. Now there are two things we need to understand. First thing, we are able to fetch all the user in your Azure DevOps site. Second thing, what permission I want to work when you're working with the Azure service, that also be given in the RBAC rule, right? So this is why we are using this concept here, that is called as a integration with your Microsoft Entra. So I have this is clear, right? Now same thing, if you go with the different users, let's say I have other organizations. Now same thing, if you go to organizations, as I told you, it same concept. Okay, so I have given everything, you can give it. Okay, this is the high level of doing it. Now, okay, now I hope this is till now it is clear. Okay, now let's go with the next one. As I told you, next we will try to understand about, okay, Azure pipelines. Azure pipeline we'll try to understand. If you remember that day, what we were working, let me take you to the Azure boards. I mean Azure pipeline, right? This is our organizations. Here we have a different organizations. That means right now we have given permissions to the users. Users are able to log in also. They can see based on the permission I given. But before that, as I told you, let me show you something that is very important to understand. That is when you give permissions, right? There are, you mostly will get three types of permission, but there are actually four, but mostly you'll get a three options. Let me show the one of them. If you try to click here, anyway, you will select the username, whatever name you want as part of your AD. Second thing, this is access level. Now we need to understand we have here basic, stakeholder, and a virtual studio subscriber. So mostly what is the difference between these three, we need to understand. There is another call as a basic with test plan. Basic with test plan is something that also I show you. First of all, whenever you are creating the user, I mean organization, let's say this is the Azure DevOps organization 01, right? Group 01. That means this particular organizations normally by default, whenever you are creating by default, this particular basic access can have up to 5 users. That means if you try to create, give access more than 5 users, then it will fail. You cannot grant permissions more than 5 users. Okay, that means now if you can see here right now I can only 5. Now let me simply type, I will give something like a money name here. I'll just show you. I'll try to give a as a basic. I select the same project. Now let's see what happens now. I'm saying basic, I cannot give more than 5 because already 5 users exist here. Let me see. If you see, it's success 01. But let me refresh the page. Oh, I think somebody only 5, right? So how many before we had? Okay, this is 01. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. Yeah, more than 5. Let me try to add somebody right now. 4. I think we had created before one. Okay, sorry. Money name already in the user one group one is there. Okay, user one he's already there. I will take some other name because only 5 users. Money name was already granted before. If you see here, date and all. So I will try to add some other person as let's say Pretty or any Sarar. Sarar also there in this group, right? Anything who are not there in this group, maybe I can type the. Okay, I'll type anything. Rushikesh, because this particular user is not already existed. So I'll try to give him these permissions. Then you can see now what happens. Okay, I'm trying to get the same access as basic. Fail. If you see what is there, fail at one user, because as I told you, you can see here system issues or problems in the system that require admin attention, sessions, something blah blah. But actually, if you actually see these details, what is it? You need to get setup billings to assign this access level. As I told you, you would only have up to 5 users, right? That means if you still want Rishikesh to basically get this access, then you have to buy a plan for that. How much I need to pay? I need to pay minimum $6 per month. $6 for one user. For basic access, I have to buy $6. So if I go to billings, I can go from here. Also, if you want, I can go from here, or you can directly go to billing sections. Now you have to pay $6 for one user. Now, if you come here, you can check here, right? User access by default free trial, we have up to 5 users. And now there is another call as a basic plus test plan, as I told you. Basic plus test plan by default. What is the cost of this one? This, as we are clear right now, I don't want to buy. There is another call as a basic plus test plan. If you want to get these subscriptions basic access, you have to pay $52. How much? $52. Let us see. I can just click maybe here. For one user, normally you can get a free trial for 30 days. After this one, if you want to use a basic plus test plan, you can get a I mean, you can get 30 days plan free trial. Then you have to pay $52. Price, it will be mentioned somewhere, or I can search. What is the price for basic plus and test plan, right? In Azure DevOps. Basically, this one, when you buy, you will get this one. When you buy after this thing, you can see, right? Azure DevOps basic and test plan lines cost how much? $52. That means for one user, that is for per month. And you can also see here, as I told you, if you go with the basics, I told it is $6. That means if I go only basic plans, for free, I can use up to 5. After 5, if you want to use for a 6 person as a basic plan, then you have to pay $6 per month. And the same way, if you want to go with the basic plus test plan license, you have to pay per month $52. Similar way for the others, you have to pay this much dollar. So you can see how much costly it is, right? So this is why I'm trying to make you all understand. Fine. Now we are good. How we understood this one? So we don't want to buy or do anything. Let us go back here. Now, second thing we have is here basic, then stakeholder and this thing. First of all, let us understand. As I told you, basic mean basically what is the advantage of having basic? Basic mean everything as part of your DevOps role. You can perform any task. Any task in the sense the permission what we given was in the RBAC role, that is different permission. That is the Azure level. But in Azure DevOps level also, we need to have a separate access. Okay. Here in Azure DevOps level, we need to give a basic level. Basic level specifically those who are working in Azure DevOps role, they can get a basic level. Okay. Say for example, in basic level, you will have access to basically access the pipelines. You can access pipeline. You can access the repository. You can access the what is it, repo means the dashboard and everything. So you'll have every control, every single thing. But when it comes to the stakeholder, this stakeholder would not have much access as compared to the basic. Then who would need this access stakeholder? Only those who are not working as a DevOps role. Let's say there's some project management, they don't want to access to the repository, or they don't want to work much with the pipeline and all. Those people we can assign as a stakeholder access. Then third thing is a Visual Studio subscriber. As I told you, this for this one you have to buy a separate subscription wherein to have a separate special permission basically for those. In this case, you can get this one. So that is why if you just notice for everybody, I given access as basic so that you will have every single control in your Azure DevOps portal. Okay. So as I told you, we can only have up to 5. This is the reason why I have created multiple organizations. Let's say here 5 users, here 5 users, here 5 users, because I want every one of you to practice it so that you can get access everything, right? This is the reason. I hope this is clear. Now let's go to the this thing, pipeline related, which we have worked. If you remember, we have tried to learn pipeline. Let me go with organization 1. Now, under here, if you go to the pipelines, now let me select one of the pipeline. Let me show this old one which we have learned. I can run new pipeline also, but I can select the existing also. In my case, okay, no problem. Let me select. In my case, it is asking me where is my code stores. I can select anything. In my case, let me select it is in GitHub, or if you have an Azure repo, do one thing. Right now, I don't have an Azure repo. Let me maybe clone something from the GitHub, right? So I'll go to repo under Azure repo. So as I told you, you can keep the repository in Azure repo, otherwise in GitHub. or Bitbucket. So there is an option called import repository, manage repository. As I told, we don't have any right now any kind of repo. So I will select import, that is from the listing. Now it is asking me where is my core. So if I go to my GitHub, okay, and GitHub, I can simply maybe select one of them. What is this for? Azure DevOps. Okay, this is for testing, just testing. I'm just trying to show you. Later you can do anything. Okay, so I will just copy this URL. Now I'll just simply copy paste. So as I told you, while authenticating, automatically the repo name will be coming here, and you can see this will be, you have to select as this thing like Git only. Then you have to select this one if you want to authenticate with different way. In my case, I have already authenticated, so I can simply use the import one. Automatically now, whatever I have in my Azure, I mean in GitHub, same copy will be downloaded. If you can see now, on its way. So it is successful. Currently, it is fully successfully imported, right? You can see message. Now, if I come here, as I told you, if I select my repository, that is the Azure DevOps Pulse, whatever name, I can see this one. Now, that means I have this repository in my Azure repo instead of GitHub. Now, let us run the pipeline. Pipeline to run, you can see from here also, I can do this also. This is one of the way of doing it, but otherwise you don't want to do that, then you can go newly from the create, go to pipelines, then click new pipelines. Then I can select. This time it is asking me where is your core store. In my case, my core stores in where? In my Azure repo, right? Before it was in a GitHub, but this time I want to use, if you see a free private Git repositories, pull requests and code, so everything is there. Let me select this one in my case. As I select this one, because in Azure repo right now, I only have this particular repo, right? That is Azure DevOps Pulse Git. So let me select. By default, this all will be coming. Uh, the reason why it is coming, because I was already modify something. Normally this should not be coming. It is coming from the cache actually. Anyway, if you see here, we have a Terraform installer, everything. But what I do one is, I don't want to use this one, right? I don't want to use this pipeline. So maybe what I'll do is I'll try to let me check all projects. I think it is a new one. The reason is I don't want to auto load. Maybe I can simply go here. It is taking from the cache actually. The automatically it should not be loading. It is taking from the cache. I will type as something like that. So 78, right? Let me authenticate. Okay, let me sign in. Okay, let me go with the first one. Let me go to the pipelines because I have already repo in place. I can select Azure repo, select this one. Okay, it is taking from the default. No problem. So what we will do, we will use the existing. It is still taking from default. We will try to do the existing what we were doing last time, right? Stop this thing, because here we have so many pipeline this thing, then it will be confused for you. We'll go that also later will be as we will learn, right? So I will close this one. Normally I don't need here. I'll go back. As I told you, already we have run pipeline last time. Remember, this is the pipeline we have run it, and this is from the repo. Yeah. So if I go here, this one we have run recently. Okay. So I will just click here, edit it. There is a settings. Before that, you have to go one of the basically pipeline. In my case, I'll go here. I can simply select here 3 dot. there is an option called edit pipeline, so I can do it that one. The reason why I don't want to show the another one was there is just so many what they call tasks being defined, then it will be difficult. So we want to basically focus the last topic only. So if you remember last topic, what we were working was, uh, if you remember, we had a here branch name, main or master, then this a pool name, everything we had defined, right? Everything was the bill also done, test also done. But that time we do not have this one. Question is, let me copy this one. I don't need this for now. I'll just remove it. Otherwise, I want to keep somewhere in my notepad so that for your reference, I can show you this also later. If you remember till last class, we were having till here. So I'll just try to validate and I can give any message name. I can just mention remove file copy. Sorry, not remove, it is removed, right? Be removed. Artifacts publish. Just to make things simple, so because we had removed a pipeline, based on that I have defined it here. Now it is running. Let me run this also. I think it's taking, it is going to run in the master branch, because in the pipeline also if you see here, we have given as a master branch. Now one thing why I want to show is that if you remember last time, the artifact was 0, right? So this time we'll try to understand how we can publish the artifacts and why it is important. So maybe it may take some time. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please you can raise your questions. Okay, no questions. Great. Fine. So as I told you, basically we need to understand artifacts. So anyway, let it complete. Meanwhile, we'll try to understand what is artifacts. Okay. Now, okay. Now artifacts basically, I can simply here also you can type here Microsoft as what is called. If you see here artifact basically in Azure DevOps, artifacts refer to the file and components generated during the software development process, including code binaries, libraries, documents, and they are essential for building, testing, and deploying applications. Azure Artifacts is a service within Azure DevOps that enables developer to manage and share packages like Niggers, RPM, Maven, etc. within CI/CD pipeline. So that means now artifacts is something is simple. It is basically in simple case you can mention. You can think of a let me go. I think let me edit this. I can ignore for now. It is still taking, no problem. That means artifact what it says. It is a you can see basically if you can just tell artifacts nothing but first artifacts, right? So artifacts thing in this way. This is basically output out output of bill, BIL bill. Now output of bill in the sense now that means now we are building the applications, so we are testing it, right? So artifacts basically it is output of your builds. So now here what and all we can contain, we can have a binaries we can have, then we can have a systems, like you can have a, we can have something called as a, you in system if you think about .NET application or any this thing, if you notice there is something called as a DLL .dll, right? We have it, and we have sometimes we have a .exe. What is this all? This is all the kind of, it requires, right, while building this thing or while underlining this thing, it requires, right, because this is all dependency file basically. That means while building this application, we have a system library and configurations. Sorry, configuration file. Okay, these are some of the artifacts we can think of for now, right? That means now when you build these applications, we have the libraries like system libraries or configuration. So all this we have it. So even if you see here also, like we have a tools, different tools like a niggers, npm, maven. What is this all? We have this all package management or package manager, I can call it. Okay. So this is why it is required, because in order to build your applications, you need to package that one. You need to basically have that one. Some solution we need to get it. So example, if you want to uh, build, let's say example, you have a .NET, right? .NET application you have .NET application. In this, to basically run these applications, you need to basically have something called as a dependency. In normal way, I'm saying it, dependency, right? Dependency file you should have, because for each application would have a different configurations, different settings, all these things, right? So dependency is nothing but where this dependency, if you want to run this application now, how can this particular application can get a dependency file? This is why something called as a package manager, right? PAC, package manager or management, you can call it, both are same. I can call it as a manager for now. Okay, package manager. Now, what is the package management it does, right? What is the work of the package manager? That means now, while running this application, I need something package that is a niggers package. What is up for this one? I need a dependency for what? Niggers and use niggers. Okay, niggers package. Now this niggers package dependency I want to run these applications. Now to run this thing, how the application can get, from where this can get, right? How this particular application can get this particular dependency file, package manager, how they can get. This is all managed by this one, that is your package manager. Because package management is nothing but it is a, what it does, it contains the um, multiple dependency file. So that means they can have a n number of dependency file for your application. Let's say I want niggers, means niggers package, everything basically is according to the application, it requires this one, right? Now this will store it from where? From the package manager, that is called as a nigger, something called as a niggers. It's also package manager actually. This is one of the tools, or you can call it a package manager, that is called as niggers. So they can, whatever is required for your application to run, they can all restore from that niggers. Under here, as I told you, we'll have a multiple, what you call multiple dependency file will be stored for your specific applications. That is a .NET application. The package management, that is a niggers package manager. So it depends on the, if you're using Java, Python would have a different package manager, right? So say for example, if you're going with the Java, uh, right, Java, if you use it, maybe you may use a maven, right? This is all, what is this? This is all package management. That means to run anything Java related applications within the maven dependency, what is package manager, all the dependency file will be stored here, and whichever you require for this particular Java application, they will restore from your package manager to run your applications. It is as simple. Okay, now let's go back to the, I think it should be done by now. Yes, if you just notice, as I told you, right now you don't see artifacts published. The reason why is, why do we even need artifacts? What did I say? Artifact is nothing but it is the output of your build. That means you have built applications, but where is your output? Where is your libraries? Where is your binaries? You have nothing right now, right? So I need somewhere where it can also publish in my pipelines. The reason why do I need in pipeline is because the same artifacts I need to basically deploy into certain environment. In case Azure, that is Say for example in Kubernetes or Azure web app or any other traditional way or whatever you say. Okay, so this is why. But in my case, I do not have. That means I have built applications, but artifact was not published or I could not see the artifacts. Okay, so this is the reason why we need to understand there's something called as a, these are some of the, if you want to work with a pipeline, these are some of the key variable which is must we need to understand. Say for example, these all the defined like a predefined variable by Azure Microsoft basically. Okay, the first one is system dot default working directory and build or artifact staging directory and build or source directory. Then we also have build or definition, and there are so many others. How can I get this information? Let us show you. Now, if I go to the documentations of your Microsoft, let me go here. You simply type predefine. You simply type predefine Azure pipelines, like in type something like that, something like this. Predefined Azure DevOps variables or pipeline variable. This will still take you to the official website. Use predefined variables as your pipeline. So whichever way you can type it in your Chrome browser or whichever browser that you use. So let me click here. As I click here, what exactly we need? So we need to understand. So as I told you, we are working with the pipeline. So if you're working with a particular task, based on it, I can check. So as I told you, we are working with a pipeline. So let me go down. This is for the related to your these things. Build clean everything. We don't work with, we are working with the pipeline related. If you see here, this is Azure related. That means if you're working with Azure related tasks, you can define the predefined variable. You can take a look this one. But as I told you, we are working with the pipeline related. This is the build under build, right? Under build, because we are building the applications, right? Right now we are testing it, building it. Now we are to publisher. So mostly we are going with the build under build. So if you click here, you can see there is a build or artifact staging directory. Question is, what is this now? You can see under build. Now you can see the definition. The local part on the agent where any artifacts are copied to before being pushed to their destination. For example, this particular part. Okay. So before that, let us understand what basically the pipeline does, right? So as I told you, I have run this pipeline. Now, if I go to the pipelines, now I have just now I have run this pipeline, right? It's good. Now I have already discussed, in fact, last week also, like the what happened exactly when we run. So if you go here, let me go to the jobs, so that to make you we have already explained, but I will give you another just like kind of the overview things. Now, first thing what it'll do is that as you try pipeline based on instructions. Now it will go basically in your jobs, it basically check out. It will go to the repository, whichever repository that you are using it. If it is Azure repo, it will be known as Azure repo. Yeah. It will be known as Azure repo. And if it is like GitHub, it will check out to GitHub. Okay, that's the first thing. And as I told you, we are using the like a .NET application, right? If you see, as I told you, it's a web app. It is basically .NET based applications. So this is why, as I told you, this if you see here, nigger, right? So this is all again depends on the application that you are deal with or work with. In my case, as I told you, we are working with a .NET based applications. So this is something called as a this is basically nigger. Nigger basically, what is nigger? If also, if you want to check, you can simply chart. You can basically simply sorry, I think I have already opened another browser. Let me open here itself. Niggers package, right? See, nigger basically in nigger package is a zip file that we have this thing containing the compile code. Like as I told you, compile code mean what is that? DLLs. This is basically we require or related files or manifest. Okay. .NET is specifically working for a .NET based applications. That means now you can also read here. Okay, what is nigger package? That's would simplify. Nigger is a package, is a single zip file with particular .NET. It is particular. Okay, so we have the container. That means now, as I told you, if you want to work with the .NET based applications, I need to have this Nigger package manager or management. Basically, this is where we have a multiple dependency file for your particular application to run it. So now we have understood this one. Now let's come to the this one. So let me go here. Yeah, let me go to the jobs. Okay, so that means, as I told you, we have checkout. It is going to basically install it, and once install is done, the command, what it will do is that the command basically, if you see here, it is going to restore it packages from Nigger package, right? That means once we installed because to run the tools you need to have already in place installed, right? In my case it is there, so it is installed to deal with the particular package management, that is your Niggers, that is got installed. Then I want to basically deal with the Nigger, so it is going to this thing basically restore it. If you see your task, it is going to restore from where? From your deck, this one Nigger package management itself. It is going to restore it. Whatever required according to the applications, they will be restore everything. That you don't have to do anything much with that. Then based on the package management in place, then I mean dependency file is in place, then they are based on the those things they are going to build. If you see here, build with the MS build and it's this thing, right? They are going to build the application now. So if whatever you see, it is going to create or do everything. If you see the release different version, you can see every single things. Okay, so they are doing it. Then they are going to obviously they have to test it. This is the high level of understanding it. Now as I told you, but we have built it everything, but I need to store this particular artifacts, right? Because this particular artifacts I need to get it so that I can deploy it to the environment wherever I want to. So in my case, if you see here, I do not see artifact. It's deployed, it's okay. I mean, it is basically tested also, it is built also, but the artifact is not showing here. The reason is not showing because I have not defined in the pipeline task. Because as I told you, tasks should be defined according to your requirement in your pipeline. So I don't have that. So this is the reason why I could not see artifacts. Now let me edit the pipeline so that I can publish these artifacts. Okay. Now, okay, come back here. So here, if you notice, there is something called, as I told you, builder source. I mean, not, it is not a sources actually, builder sources directory, and we have a builder artifact staging directory. So now we can copy with this name. You can go here predefine. You can simply type here source it. So let us understand this one. What it basically does, the local part on the Azure where your source code is file, core files are downloaded. That means you basically remember I told you whatever we are running here, the Azure, right? There is Azure called as a Microsoft Azure. Their responsibility is to take this core and run somewhere in their backend. So this all happen backend. Now, but now this again, this as I told you, while run, that means the application will be built. Where it is going to store now then? It is going to be basically by default, what it will do is that for it will be run only for each task. If you just notice here, this is all steps there. There's nothing called as a stage. I do not have something called as a stage here. That means by default, for it will be considered as a, each task steps would consider as a individual, basically different. I mean, what I call, if you define as a stage, it will be for each stage can have only one time the agent will be running. That means if I have a multiple stage defined, the agent will be running for each agent will be running for individual step. I mean stage. That means if I have a 10 different stages or maybe two different stages like a build and test, the same agent will not be used. It will be used different agent. That means when I use a different agent, that means different virtual machine, right? So in this case, what happened? Again, it has to rework or rework your things. This is the reason why we need to basically get the artifacts as soon as we build it, so that we can store somewhere and use the artifacts. Okay. Now, now as I told you, this is the reason why we are using it. Now let me go to this thing. So I think I can close this for now because I don't need anymore. This also maybe I can close it. I think, yeah, this also I don't need for now. Okay, now let me basically add it. This is the build test happen. Now I need to, what did I say? I need to publish the basic artifacts, right? I need to publish because right now I have only one as in it is running, but it is basically not publishing artifacts. So I need to publish. So there is a first, I need to copy. What do I need to copy? There is something called as a task, right? So if you see here, these are all tasks, different tasks, right? So now I need to keep, I'm saying now after build, after test, I mean to say, you have to copy the file. What is the file? Artifacts file. So this is the reason why I can use this assistant. This is called as a, because let me just go, if you see here, show assistant, click there. By default this should be something like this. If you click here, show assistant, you can use this one. This is actually a way of helping you. Instead of writing the YAML from scratch, you can simply define your task based on your requirement. You can fill the details and it will be converted into as YAML file. Okay. So what did I say? I want to copy the file now. If you want to copy, you can see there are copy tasks itself. There are so many like archive files. Uh, you can see the Azure file copy. Then you can also see different file copy. Question is, how do I know which task to use it? Right? Example, if I click here, let me click just here. This will the properties. This will come like this properties. And same thing, if I click another task, we have another similar way. Let me type one second file. If I click something else, this is coming like this. Now question is, how do I know which task to use it, right? Because as I told you, based on a task would have a different configurations or properties, right? So let us understand that how we can be identify. First thing, should know what exactly I am going to do. In my case, I told you I'm going to copy the file. So you can simply type copy or just file. You can type copy file or file copy. Just to make it simple, you make a copy file because you are dealing with a copying the file. So within this one, now it got more kind of got filtered now. I can see hardly this many. If you see the definitions, you have to click the cursor, read the definition. Say that copy files to Azure blob storage or virtual machines. That means if you want to copy your file to the blob, that is your storage account, or the virtual machine, you can use this task. Or maybe second option is that copy files from a source folder to target folder using the patterns matching. This is another. Third thing is that this is for the Linux, that is not required. Then last thing we have this thing, right? Copy file to remote this thing. That means right now also we don't have. So how do I know which one to copy? So now if you copy here, as I told you, we have to select this one, copy file. Okay. So otherwise, as I told you, you can select like this also. You can go through the definitions. You can read it. Now in my case, as I told you, I'm going to select the same one. That is folder to a target folder. This is the reason I want, right? I will select this one. Now, if I select, I will select the source. That means where is my artifact resides now? Because it is stored in where? In particular Azure, right? Or particular server somewhere in the Azure. Now, if I can click here, by default, I can see your Azure.build. Azure means this is a default one. Basically, whenever you run a pipeline, the Azure will be running the backend, right? This is the backend. Otherwise, what I can simply copy this one. I do not need to use the same thing just to make sure the syntax is correct. So first, always you have to call with a variable because this is a dynamic way. So we have to call with a variable with the $sign and bracket, close, open and close bracket. Then I can mention here build or this thing. You can just, I have to change here. I simply change, or I can change fully. What I have to type? I can type a build dot source. I can type small letter or capital letter. If you don't know, if you don't remember, that's okay. You can refer documents. As I told you, you can copy this one, right? This is the source. So now that means it is going to copy the local agent where agent is already run, right? File download. It is going to download here. Okay. So if you read here, the local part on the agent means the virtual machine which is there, where your source code files are downloaded, where it is downloaded. That means now let me copy this part, this variable name. I can copy. If I see here, where is that? Okay, I can simply do this thing, remove this one, just use this one, build or sources. Now here context means that is anything basically contents. Search means that is anything. Target, where I want to publish this one, I can simply click in there is a button called here, click there, dot, you can see I have to publish to build or artifact here. I can copy this fully. This is a variable. Now if I copy here, now let us understand this one. If I copy here also, right, I'll copy this one. Let me see what it says now. That means I'm copying from my agent where it is got downloaded to where I'm going to download and where I want to store this one, right? So build or artifact staging directory, basically the local part on the agent where any artifacts are copied. Okay, copied to before being pushed to their destination. That means, as I told you, right now we have not pushed the artifacts, right? It is still there. So right now, this is the reason why I have to select this one. Right now, still it is there in the ASN where artifacts are copied. So you have to go this part. So this is the reason why I'm selecting this one. Okay, then advanced step, if you want, like you can see advanced clean target folder. If there is any existing, you can clean up that also. You can do override everything. But in my case, you can also retry count. If any issue also, you should retry it. So these all options are there. For now, I will keep as default. So I'll just focus on the source and the destination and keep as everything. Now, once I click this thing, before that I have to put my cursor in the same this thing. I will click in the same line, task. Just click there. Now, okay. Now I have copied it. I have copied from where? I have copied from the machine where the artifacts got downloaded. Okay. So now, next what I have to do? Next, I will just skip. Then now another task in the same line. I will again search. Now it is where stored. It is stored in the machine, right? Artifacts directory. Now in the staging area. Now I will artifacts or publish artifacts. You can type. I want to publish now to where? Azure Pipeline, right? You can type publish artifacts, something like that. You can see if you just read also publish build artifacts to Azure Pipeline, because as I told you, we want to deploy. We want to publish to Azure Pipeline. So I will select this one. Now, as I select now part to publish, where it is has to publish, it is telling, because if you remember from Azure to the download to staging, now it got downloaded here. Now from they are taking the same directory here, build or artifact staging directory, same thing, right? From there they will take, now they are going to take this one and publish where locations in pipeline. That means Azure Pipeline, they are going to store this one. Now I can give artifacts name anything. Then if you want to give a build ID also, you can give a build ID. Build ID mean you can give artifacts name also if you want. If you want to give a build ID instead of the artifacts name, you can give just like a build or build ID, right? Okay, you can type something like that. The ID of the record for the completed build. So as I told you, this is completed. For each build, there is a build ID get generated. So if you want, this is optional, but yeah, you can use this also according to the best practice. So maybe we'll try to follow. So I will give this one. I have to use again something called as a variables again. So you can give something same variable, just like how we have defined it. Something like this, right? You can also see here also like the definition they have given it. Now I can give build ID. I can give any name the artifacts. So let's say first artifacts name, just to make sure you just to make you understand. Okay, I can give any name. Now I can have given this name first artifacts. Now it is moving to where here. If you go here, you can also basically tar this artifact before uploading. So this is optional, but if you at all require, you can choose this also. So in my case, I'm keeping as default. Now before putting add, I have to go here, keep my cursor in the same line. I will put one more button. How I will do, use here, you just use a shift plus enter. Okay, if you want to come down in YAML, shift plus enter you do, then it will take you down in your keyword. Now let me select now. Now I have added. Now let me add this one. Now I can give any name. I can mention now updated. Okay, I can give any name that you want to give. Now once it's there, then you can run the pipeline. The reason why we have to do it now manually is that because we have not completed complete CI/CD flow. This is the reason we need to do it manually, but normally you should not be doing manually this one. Okay, automatically when you do any changes, it should get triggered the pipeline. Now see, now it is a 0. Now the pipeline is updated. Okay, let's wait for maybe another 1 minute. Then it should see your artifacts, then what it contains, then we can see that also. So as I told you, I have also, you can also see same way we have done it, but let's wait for this thing. We can see that also. Okay, then once artifacts are in place, then tomorrow what we'll do, we'll try to deploy the applications to one of the environment. So once we are good with that, then slowly we'll try to do how we can do end-to-end this. Okay, yeah, team, till any questions? It may take some time, maybe at least 2 minutes, so we can discuss if there is something. Some network issue, okay. Team, any question? No questions? Yeah. Okay, let's wait. Now, if you see here, as I told you, we have a Azure, right? There is a thing. The Azure request is not running because all parallels, because as I told you, we have only one Azure. So this is the reason why sometimes it takes time, because we have multiple tasks, right? So to run your for each job would be taking a time. So we have multiple basically tasks. So that is why it's taking a little time. But in your actually company or maybe project, you would be using a self-hosted one. So in a self-hosted, exactly what it does is, so let me just make another thing. Just let it takes some time. Let's wait. Okay. Oh my God, I think I'm running the old this thing also. I will stop the old one. There are two pipelines running, but that is the reason why. Okay. I will stop one of them maybe otherwise. Okay, it got published. Let's wait this one. Artifacts. I think that is this is the old one. Okay, this got published. You can ignore the another one actually. So you can share. So now as you can see here, it is successful. Now pipeline got successfully published. Artifacts. In artifacts, as I told you, we have multiple listing. I think we have run in different pipeline. Let me see this one. I think this is the latest one. I didn't stop my previous one. Maybe I'll stop this one. I have cancelled one anyway. So I'll go with this one of them. It is already published. So if you see here, basically, we have this whatever artifacts we have in Azure DevOps, right? We have it, right? So this basically we can see all the what is a source code and everything. If you go here, this is zip. You can also download this one if you want, and I can read basically. So like this, we have all the contents basically. So like this, you get full source. Okay, see. So like there you have, if you see here, different kind of files we have, right? As I told you, using a .exe, .dl, and other kind of this thing. These all is required, right? For your example, you can see the extensions, details, type, everything we can see here. So this is why this need to be basically published somewhere in your core, pipeline, so that you can use to deploy or run your applications successfully. Okay. So yeah, meanwhile, I think, yeah, tomorrow what I'll do, we will do how we can deploy this one applications and share that one. So fine, team. So we have seen how we can see the artifacts, everything. Try to explore it. Oh, actually, there are two pipeline was running parallelly. Because of that, it got a delay. But you can stop. Whichever are working, you can stop one of them and run your new pipelines. Okay. You can just refer this one so that you can see how the pipeline has been basically written and everything. Okay, so yeah, so thank you team once again for joining us. So we'll wind up the session for today. Yeah, so thank you once again for joining.